Hello folks, welcome back once again, ladies and gents. This is the show where we review comic books and graphic novels. A few videos back, we created two small reviews surrounding Captain Marvel and Shazam, which then eventually culminated into a special Fight Night event between the two titanic superheroes. We then also looked at the Shazam movie after its release, and in that review I also promised to look at the graphic novel that was released to accompany the movie. So here we are after a short period, and it's now time to take a look at Shazam Origins. So I quickly don't forget, the main writer is Jeff Johns, and then the main artist is Gary Frank. Now of course, the novel is a compilation of a story from the single issues in the Justice League storyline, and we can greatly see the influence that this small book had on the movie. As usual, when I do these comic reviews, I shall start with a short summary of the story. And in this case, it may be further compacted considering we already have done a review for the film and there are huge similarities. And of course, I will end the review with a small opinion spiel regarding its various aspects to top it all off. So without further delay, Shazam Origins. If you've seen the movie of Shazam, we start our graphic novel in a similar fashion. From the Rock of Eternity, the mighty wizard Shazam is once again in search of a valiant hero to take up the mantle and defend the world from the oncoming darkness and evil. The Rock of Eternity has been choosing a select few to be brought forth before the wizard Shazam, but none so far have been found worthy to take up the mantle. This small, rare occurrence hasn't gone unnoticed, as Dr. Savannah has been desperately trying to uncover magic so that he can use it to save his own family. His desperate need to find magic will set off a series of events that will change the world forever. A few months later though, we move over to the city of Philadelphia and catch up with the troubled teenager of Billy Batson. A kid who had been overlooked so many times for adoption because of his age is now getting another last chance with the Vasquez family. This of course is no easy transition, as Billy has already given up on the whole adoption services and isn't the most forthcoming when it comes to meeting the other kids that the Vasquez family has adopted. Though tensions were slightly risen because of his attitude to the whole ordeal, deep down we see that Billy Batson has a good heart. Even though he has not yet created any connection or bond between himself and the other kids, he still comes to their aid in school when the Breyer brothers are beating on Freddy. He sure doesn't back down from harsh consequences when he knows that he was doing the right thing to fight the two brothers. Meanwhile, the work of Dr. Savannah accelerates ever forward through fruition, as he somehow manages to gain a magical eye for himself, revealing the world that he had so desperately sought to discover. With now having the ability to see magic, Dr. Savannah's search to find Black Adam would quicken, as he is soon able to locate the tomb created to imprison the fallen champion. For centuries, it had locked away Black Adam until the time would come where a new champion would arise that could defeat him. But Dr. Savannah had other plans in mind, and instead uttered the name of Shazam to break the bonds of the prison. Chaos and magic would now once again threaten the world, as it had not done in a very long time. With things unfolding so quickly, the Rock of Eternity decides to bring Billy Batson in front of the wizard. Time is no longer on their side. Yet, even though the wizard Shazam believes that Billy Batson is not the right person to take up the mantle of his champion, he still hopes for a pure individual to come around. The wizard must reluctantly place his faith, and that of the greater world at large, in the hands of this troublesome teenager. With the word of power and a crack of lightning, Billy transforms into the mighty champion, Shazam. Now, a lot happens within this graphic novel, so I'll quickly jump some bits so that we arrive at the titanic battles that will ensue towards the end. This is all built up by the fact that Black Adam and Dr. Savannah go in search for the 7 deadly sins of man, while on the other hand, Billy Batson is drawn towards people in harm's way and gets to try out his newly obtained powers. But unfortunately for Billy, his first encounter with Black Adam is not an easy task. Years of experience and refined control outclass and outmaneuvers the newly minted champion Shazam. So much so that it scares Billy to the core and gets him to revert to his teenage self. He then subsequently uses the scared crowd around him to make his escape. Even though he has the powers of Shazam, it doesn't change the fact that he doesn't know how to truly harness its full potential. This truly escalates when Black Adam threatens the lives of the other Vasquez kids if Billy doesn't transfer his powers over. But fortunately for Billy, the wizard had left him with one important saying that now would be realized. Family is what it can be, not what it should be. This time, when he uttered the word of power, Shazam, it didn't take away his powers or give it to Black Adam, but instead, it gave the other Vasquez kids the same abilities that he had. The Marvel family would once again return to the DC Comics universe. The ensuing titanic battle between the Marvel family and Black Adam with the 7 deadly sins is a spectacular sight to see. It's definitely something that I would encourage to see for oneself instead of listening to me attempt to describe it. I also believe that the ending is also worth keeping under wraps, as it would not do it justice if I simply state how it all concludes. As such, I think I will end the summary here and allow for a bit of mystery surrounding the last part of the comic, and simply argue that you should get your hands on this comic to see how it all goes down. With that being the end of the summary, it now means that I will give a small spiel regarding the whole graphic novel. Starting with the story itself, we already have a small inkling of how Shazam had come to be, and this version definitely enriches his origins and attempts to add that emotional feeling when we encountered the life of Billy Batson. We can see the influence the comic had here on the movie and the fact that it explored Billy's orphan life and how it had shaped him as a human being. Not only does it make for a good story, but it really helps informing Billy as a lost teenager and a flawed character who is trying to find his own way in a world that had abandoned him. It's a great starting point to develop a character, especially since he must be able to adapt not only to his new powers but also the responsibility that it entails, which may supersede his own immediate problems. The comic also explores the history and the origins of Black Adam, which I did not talk about in the summary, as it's definitely something that I would highly recommend looking at in the full context of the novel. The complexity and the depth that it adds to the story as a whole could not get enough praise from me. It perfectly shows how someone can fall down the path of Black Adam that doesn't necessarily start from some inherent evil, but can also begin from what someone would look at and say that they have good intentions. I definitely want to give it high praises here for this story plot. Moving on to the artwork that is present in the novel. It is simply fantastic. In all honesty, I don't believe that I have any way to fault it or nitpick something that I didn't like. The color palette worked perfectly with the style that was used to draw all the characters. Some of the spreads perfectly captured the mood that was present in the panel and really exemplified the emotion, whether it was the boisterous fun of Shazam flying with Freddy, or the raw power and danger that was present when he comes face to face with Black Adam. Again, there's not much I can truly say other than put up some of my favorite panels and let y'all be the judge of it. So in the end, after all that, what I'm really trying to say is that you should get your hands on this graphic novel. Simply fantastic to read and visually spectacular. If you've seen the movie and enjoyed it, then there's no reason why you wouldn't want to see where it all began. Now, I hope you've enjoyed this video and do let me know what you think about it. I shall of course be making more content in the future, so don't forget to subscribe so that you get notified when I post content, and if you get the chance to like this video to show some support. Every little helps to get the video to a larger audience. You can also stay up to date with me on my Instagram if you are so inclined. Otherwise, I shall see you in the next video.